Hello, everybody, and welcome to Game Center Live, the weekly live stream talk show from the heart of the NYU Game Center. It's Tuesday, March 8th. Happy International Women's Day. We've got a real fun show ahead of us here today. First off, you'll be hearing from a bit of a program change. We won't be hearing from Francisco Rojo, but you will be hearing from Darwin, Vickers, and Moochi. And they're going to be chatting about Wonderville. We have a unique intern opportunity here at the Game Center where MFA students can go and organize local gaming events here in Brooklyn with Death by Audio Arcade and Wonderville, one of my personal favorite spots in the city. In the second half of our show, it's once again time for the Discourse with Naomi Clark. She will be joined by adjunct professor and local spreadsheet enthusiast Alexander King for some snarky conversation about NFTs, of which we are very much overdue. That's all coming up and more, but first, we have some announcements. Playtest Thursday is happening every Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. This is our casual weekly meetup where you can bring your work-in-progress games and get feedback. We can only have NYU students here in person at the moment, but if you would like to virtually join Playtest Thursday, we've got an option for you, and the link with more info is in the chat. This week, students from Steinhardt's Screen Scoring Department will be at Playtest Thursday. If you are an NYU Game Center student who'd like to get linked up with a composer for your thesis, capstone, or any other game project, head to the link posted in the department Slack in the announcements channel and be at Playtest Thursday this week. We'll see you there. Press play. Oh, I skipped a slide. Oh no. Let's go back. Press play. It's a book club for video games or just games in general, board games, everything. Saturdays from 1 to 3 p.m., head to the NYU Game Center Open Library to play and discuss a game from the library's incredible collection. This event is happening in person, and all current NYU students and faculty are welcome. No prior knowledge of the game is needed. You'll play the game at the meetup. Press Play is taking a break for spring break and will be back on Saturday, March 26th to discuss the game Disco Elysium. Strategy Guide this Thursday, March 10th at 7 p.m. in the second floor lecture hall. We're hosting our annual Strategy Guide event on how to get a job in the game industry. Join us for a panel from designers, developers, and hiring managers with practical knowledge and advice on how to get a job. This event is happening in person for NYU students only for this year. More info to come. NYU Game Center Lecture Series presents Jesper Juhl. Thursday, March 24th at 7 p.m., Jesper Juhl will be joining us for the March Lecture Series. Jesper Juhl is one of the most well-regarded names in game scholarship and has penned multiple essential books like Half Real, A Casual Revolution, and The Art of Failure. Jesper is also a former NYU Game Center professor. He now works at the Royal Danish Academy of Fine Arts. This event is in person for NYU students with an RSVP link coming soon. Then, on Friday, March 25th, from 2 to 5 p.m., Jesper will be doing a workshop titled New Theory, New Games, a workshop on using video game theory to make creative and experimental games for NYU students only. More information and RSVP link to come. And finally, a quick programming note. All events will be on pause next week for spring break. We'll be back the week of March 21st with the next Game Center Live, Playtest Thursday, and Press Play. And without further ado, it is time to introduce Moochi and Darwin, who are going to be talking about Wonderville. Take it away.
Hi.
Hi, thanks, Logan. Hi, Moochi.
Yeah, I'm Moochi. This is Darwin. Yeah.
Stream.
Sorry. Did I say Moochi and Ty?
Did you? I don't know. Maybe.
I apologize, Moochi and Darwin.
I don't think so.
It's been a long morning. It's not even noon. Take it away.
So you've been doing you did the internship last semester, right? And now
That's
it's
right.
Fran. Sally cannot come here today, and I'm taking Fran's place. And I'd like to know. Yeah, I'm curious. What was it? What was it like last semester for you? Like, what'd you do?
It was good. I did quite a lot. I was responsible for organizing these 3 game showcases. They call them these little games exhibitions. So it was like there was one of those each month over the fall. I can show them quickly. There was the first one was called Nintendo Dream World. This was a bunch of games from mostly Game Center associated people. Big Bag and Flan Falachi were BFAs a few years ago, and Joey Schutz is currently in the first year of the MFA. And these were all these kind of crazy Nintendo-inspired fever dream kind of games. That was in September, and then November we had this big Halloween show, including a game from Moochi. Amazing. I'll have to show a photo. We'll have to show a photo later, but horror game by Candlelight called Vela. And then in November, this show also featuring some Game Center people, D.H. Crowsdale and Abby Yaff. And this was kind of all games all related to memory in different ways. And then most recently, this year, Moochi and I and Fran and Ali and Tai were all involved in organizing this Valentine's Day show. Do you want to say something about the Valentine's show, actually?
I've been I work with Darwin a lot, and I've been seeing Darwin organize these events. I always wanted to help, and then when we had this opportunity to organize this, was pretty cool. We got pretty excited. We wanted to get a lot of games involved, tiny games, and also non-digital games. It was like a departure from, I think, what we've seen before at Wonderville. So it's pretty cool. We got games from a lot of friends happening. We got 3 tabletop games happening in the center of Wonderville, and it was a very different mood having those tables in the center. If you could pull up a photo of that.
Yeah, it's just.
Oh, look at that, cute. So yeah, there was tables where people could play D's, checkers, chew. And a rock, a game that you stack rocks, and another RPG game that you could play about Mamma Mia. All pretty good. A lot of people played these games. Very exciting. And we also did a selection of tiny games. These are 2 walking sims, also 2 Game Center games. And we did a selection of tiny, smaller games, and where we put in this website that if you want to access right now and play some of the games we curated, you could check it out. That's the link. Might be in chat eventually, hopefully, or not. I don't know. You can read dumpling.love/forest/computerlove. Also a bunch of very interesting games, some very weird, some text-based. Very nice. In this nice interface. It's pretty fun doing this. Yeah. I have a question to you, Darwin, about how do you come up, how did you come up with, especially Nintendo Dream World and Memory Machines, they seem to have a theme more than the Halloween one seems easier, I would say, but how did the other 2 come about?
Yeah, the Halloween one was easy-ish because everyone knows what Halloween is about, and it's kind of, I didn't even have to choose that theme. It was just October, so it's Halloween. The Nintendo one, I would say, for me, I was really kind of starting with games that I wanted to show that I thought were really good, and maybe people hadn't seen them so much. And then from there, just kind of trying to think, how do these fit together? How can I, package these into something that people want to come see? It's same for Memory Machines. I really wanted to show some of Lily Zone's games that she's been making recently. And they're pretty kind of deeply about memory. I'd say they're very kind of it's kind of nostalgia, childhood memory kind of vibe. And then Abby's game, Asmetric, amazing game, is kind of this. A game about kind of exploring someone's memories as their memory is kind of fading away. Has a really beautiful interface. It's a Pico 8 game. Actually, I'll show some photos. This is This is Abby's game, Asymmetric. Check it out. I will post links to all of these games later because everyone should play them. Yeah, it's like someone's brain is kind of the memories are slowly fading out of their brain. Yeah, and these are some of Lily's own games. And then DH's game Last November is this kind of like erasure poetry thing with these like poems that DH has written that show up on the screen, and you can kind of like add and remove words. And it's also kind of, they're all kind of about DH's memories and this kind of thing. Yeah, really nice game as well. And then and then Blake Andrews' game, Home Are Where the Heart Is this kind of like, again, like childhood memory of like The Simpsons, except he's like replaced the Simpsons characters with his own like Simpsons characters. Also, yeah, a really wonderful game. So yeah, in that case, they were all kind of games that I had floating around in my head for a long time, and then just kind of clicked that they all kind of relate to memory, so let's make that the theme.
Nice. And Nintendo Dream World, was there like any particular one that like was the seed, and then you were like, oh, these are the ones that go together? Yeah,
this one, I would say, like Flan's game it's actually like still in development. So we actually both together got to play like an early build of that game. I think it was at Playtest Thursday, and that kind of really stuck with me. I thought that was awesome. Like maybe I'm not sure if I have any photos of that. Maybe. Oh yeah, that's Flan's game. It's this kind of underwater, kind of trippy, like Titanic inspired thing where you're like under the ocean and there's all these like Nintendo characters like floating around. It's kind of scary and nice. And then that also kind of reminded me of Joey's game, Winter 2001, Someone Tell Luigi I Love Him, which you can see on the projector there. It's kind of like, it's like a Luigi kind of parody, I guess. It's like, it's kind of it's about playing, what's the name of that game? Haunted Mansion? Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion. Playing that like with your sibling and just kind of that experience.
Yeah.
So I thought they fit well together, and then Terminal 64, do we have a picture of that? It's this like amazing, like kind of psychedelic Nintendo inspired, like, I don't know what to call it, but it's really amazing. So again, yeah, it just kind of made me think of that and thought they fit well together. And With All My Heart is that was kind of a late addition to the show. It's a game on itch. I don't know the creator at all, but Flan recommended that game because that was like a big inspiration for Flan's game Orchestra for Dying at Sea. So I thought that would fit as well. Maybe I have a photo of that one. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like that. It's also features the same song, which is Celine Dion's rendition of My Heart Will Go On from Titanic.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember I made a game Prototype Studio that had the same vibe that week, and I was really sad that I made it too late to go to the event.
Yeah, that would have been a great addition.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of games in this, like, call it a genre of Mario-inspired games.
Yeah, I agree. And I remember you showed me a few days after the show. There was another game, that one where you walk around the Mario Kart levels on one foot. Which also would have been a good addition. So someone will have to do another Nintendo-inspired show.
Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome to hear all of this. Pretty excited to see what Fran comes up this semester.
Yeah, everyone, stay tuned for a show which I think is coming up towards I think it might be March 23, which Fran is organizing. I believe it's going to be about walking around and talking to people games. So yeah, stay tuned. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Wonderville. It's a cool place. Check it out. Lots of cool games there. They have a bunch of like permanent games, like arcade installations, and then they also do these kind of curated shows fairly often. So yeah, keep an eye out. Shout out to NYU. Yeah, the internship was pretty cool, and yeah, thank you to everyone who supported that.
Yeah, we need more spaces like that.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you both so much.
Cool.
Let me unmute myself here. Thank you both so much for joining the stream. Thank you, Moochi, for joining last minute. Definitely appreciate it. Yeah, Wonderville is one of my favorite spots in the city. You can find me there oftentimes glued to the Black Emperor cabinet. That is probably my favorite. All right, so bear with us, folks, as we transition over to the next segment, which is the Discourse with Naomi Clark and Alexander King. Just hang tight while we get that set up for y'all. All right, thank you for your patience there, folks. Please welcome to the stream Naomi Clark and Alexander King for the Discourse. Take it away.
Hey everybody, we're trying something new today. I am here live in our studio, also known as the Game Center Open Library, and Alexander King is joining us remotely, I think over to this side of me. Am I pointing in the right direction? And we're here to talk today about NFTs. So here's my first question to you, Alexander. If someone asks you, what even is an NFT? Like, do you have a go-to explanation?
I don't have a go-to explanation, and I feel like at this point, I feel like most people have gotten the, like, I've seen a million of these, like, you know, here's a basic explanation of NFTs. I feel like at this point, most people have gotten at least the gist of that they're, you know, these digital trading things that a lot of money seems to be changing hands over them. So I feel like the base familiarity, I'm going to trust our audience, and we'll elevate.
All right, yeah.
By getting into the details.
I keep trying to think. You know, I when these things started to become popular, I was describing them as, well, they're sort of like a receipt. They're like if you paid a lot of money to get a receipt for something instead of the actual thing. Now I'm like, maybe they're more like trading cards. They're like trading cards of anything. Because, like, you know, if you get a trading card of a baseball player, you don't believe that you own the baseball player, right? In part because it's a human being. But in this case, it's like a trading card where some people mistakenly believe that they own the, you know, a piece of art because there's a photograph of a painting on the trading card. So I'm
yeah, I think so. So in one of the keys to unlocking understanding what's and I think at a high level that the thing to talk about here, right, is that it's like there's like inexplicable things are happening in our world, and it's stressful to, like, you know, that when all the, you know, like our world today is filled with uncertainty and things that make no sense. And so when it's like, oh, why is all this, like, millions of dollars changing hand over this? Like, when at a, you know, if I just kind of read the basics, it seems like this makes no sense. It's like there's like a disconnect, right, with like your expectations of reality. So one of the keys to like unlocking this and make it all make sense with your world model is, to me, which our first link, I guess I'm jumping understanding.
Yeah, let's pull it up. Let's pull the link up. It's an explainer. This is maybe the best one that's out there, right? It's gotten quite popular. And if you feel totally adrift, and you're like, I need a long 90-minute explanation by a smart person about what all this is about, this is the video to watch.
Yeah, and so and Dan Olson, who's the maker of this video, one of the things that he goes into is the need for all cryptocurrencies, but to have a continual influx of new buyers.
Right.
And to me, the key to understanding that, so his thesis is more cultural, or it's not technological. But at a technological level, so if you're familiar with cryptocurrencies or NFTs, that there are these miners, right? Like, so there's only like 3 of them, like consortiums. It's extremely consolidated. There are a couple of large groups that do all of the transactions. So like whenever a cryptocurrency is changing hands or an NFT is changing hands, a few of these big miners are the ones who process the trades. Here's the problem. This is what not enough people are talking about. So, all right. So you need a lot of computers to do that there's a big environmental cost because they need all these computers.
That's the thing that everybody knows about, is that it's like trading cards, except you are burning down some rainforests or doing the equivalent of that every time that there's any kind of trade. Yeah.
Right. So here's the problem though. Okay. So let's say you and I, Naomi, we're going to open up our own Bitcoin mining or Ethereum mining and stuff consortium. The idea is whenever we process these transactions, right, like we're going to get paid in Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever the thing. NFTs are mostly on Ethereum, Bitcoin's the older one, and it doesn't matter. So, but here's the problem. We're getting paid for processing these transactions in this cryptocurrency, right?
Of course, because who would spend real money on this?
Right. Well, no, that's how it generates. That's our incentive to process the trades.
Yeah, exactly. We get the actual coins. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. But our capital expense, our operating costs, we have to pay for real computers and real electricity. And they do not accept cryptocurrency. Most
because they're not
companies.
Stupid. Yeah.
Right. So we've got a really big problem here, where the entire the machine that makes this whole thing move, the people who process all the transactions, have a continual and perpetual outflow, because they need to sell. We get paid in Bitcoin, Ethereum. We need to sell that Bitcoin, Ethereum for real money, and then use that to pay for electricity and computers.
Right.
So this is already this is game design. Well, there's an imbalance here in the system.
Yeah, if you drew it out on an economy chart, you'd be like, okay, there's a giant hole right here, right?
And the counterbalancing force, and this brings us to NFTs, is the entire cryptocurrency world needs a constant influx of new purchasers. People need to be buying cryptocurrency forever, because if they don't, then that continual outflow for handling the transactions will drive the price down to zero until they won't process transactions anymore.
Right, because they need to keep buying more computers, and so somebody has to pay for that. And the people who are really paying for that are the new people who have gotten successfully marketed to by so this explains to everyone why you're constantly getting pitches for cryptocurrency in every like on social media, in like every stupid news site you go to. It's like, have you heard about cryptocurrency? Why there are celebrities like going on TV and being like, check out this cool ape JPEG that I got. And
NFTs in that regard are just the latest instance of and I'm sure we'll see more. I'm sure we'll see another new thing that uses the blockchain to try and entice people to participate in the ecosystem with their money. So I actually think the best what is an NFT is, let's say we have our Naomi and Alexander Funbucks, our currency that we've tried to push on to Game Center students. Like,
we come with a better name than that.
So you can like whatever transact at the Game Center, and no one's using them for no one's using the NNA Funbucks for actual currency uses, unfortunately.
Right. Unfortunately.
So now I turn around and I say, that's okay. So no one's buying them for dollars anymore. But I will sell you this one like this exact bill, and I'll write on it, you own an ape.
You own the first one, or like, yeah, I'm going to draw a little picture on it in the corner, and that's what NFT is. Yeah.
And so that's I think that's it's just another way to try and sell participation, which is,
we've named things before, Alexander. We could come with a good name. What if it's like the cute crypto coin, small bucks, SMOLBUX?
Nice.
There we go. So you guys want to buy it now? Small bucks.
Well,
much nicer.
We just had a fork. Fun bucks is now a separate. So I think that's my high level. That's the why we're seeing NFTs, and also like pay to earn games.
Yeah. So let's dive into it. Yeah. Let's pull up the next URL, because we had some examples, right? So everything is getting sucked into this vortex. It's all over physical sports now, right? The biggest football clubs are trying to sell NFTs to fans. And this is happening because they need more people to buy cryptocurrency for exactly the reasons that you said. And then this is why NFTs exist as things that artists are getting sucked into, right? Artists and musicians and celebrities, because someone is throwing money in an attempt to make them legitimate. Mm-hmm. So actually, yeah, move right on to the next URL. I think this one is great. This is Deadmau5, the famous helmet-wearing DJ. And he's like, here's how you do an NFT. You make something stupid, like a low-effort NFT, and then you get these people who want to throw crypto money at you. He's say community 3 times, and you get a bunch of money. So it's understandable why, like, this is just an honest version of what a lot of people are thinking, including a number of artists in the game space, right? And like indie game developers, and maybe even more so game devs who are coming from the fine arts world, are sort of getting caught up in this because there's money being tossed around. And when I say money, I mean cryptocurrency that hopefully these artists are cashing out for real money that they could use to buy food. And Deadmau5 is like, yeah, we can just screw these people over. So from some of these artists' point of view, they're like, yeah, let's take this money from these stupid investors and cash it out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I think I'm surprised there haven't been more. So, I don't want to, cast aspersions on well-meaning artists or game designers who participate in this space. I don't know, with like on some level, I guess we can partition people into sort of like, there's some like, I don't know, people who are like really diehard believers in arts communities, games communities, and stuff like that. The people who are, part of the multi-level marketing scheme. And then I think
they bought into it. Yeah.
Yeah, they bought into it, and there are a lot of techniques that these communities use to get you to has some cult like the why Deadmau5 in that thing says say community 3 times. There's all of this like. There's this cant, this kind of these words that you use and stuff like this. And there's some people who are just deluded or they haven't done, they don't know what they're getting into it. And I think you see that especially with a lot of celebrities, is like someone has come to them and said, hey, can we pay you $50,000 to tweet about this? And they're like, yeah, people do that all the time. That's my job. So I think there's some about that.
Sure.
But there's a third group, and I think we both, we know people in this category. I would say of designers who think that they're like, oh, like I'm gonna like, this is like a weird technology and I'm gonna participate in it and design with it or make art or make games with it. But like I'm subverting the expectations.
Yeah, I'm gonna like put a new spin on it where it's either ironically commenting on the whole idea of NFTs, or I'm going to find some actually interesting way to do something cool with it. And I think we're going to look at some of those examples.
Yeah. And I think I think especially for, our like students and stuff, or like, oh, is this like a weird, and I think there's actually, I've been surprised, very few examples of like, people doing that in a way that is like funny and honest, in the way that Deadmau5 to his credit is doing that.
Right. So I actually don't know whether Deadmau5 actually did an NFT. I guess this is one way of doing it, is to just be like, this is really stupid, I'm scamming people, give me your money. And then they probably will, right? Because that's the interesting thing, that they're really just finding some place to put cash, right? right? Like or cryptocurrency in order to try and prop up the currency. So it sort of doesn't matter how much you tell them that, yeah, this is all fake, right? I'm going to make an NFT of my fart or whatever.
Although I think the one that I've been really impressed with, and this is not one of our links, but there's a project by Moxie Marlinspike, who is just like one of those amazing names, speaking of good names, who's the founder of Signal. He's a cryptographer, and he made he was like, oh, this is really ridiculous that the URL, like that the thing that the NFT purports to be a receipt of is an external pointing URL.
It's actually just a URL, right?
Yeah, so he made a version, so he made NFTs that if you looked at them in some places, they would be art. But if you looked at them from your Coinbase wallet, then they just showed a poop emoji. And so so it's like, what does it? So because the URL could see what API was requesting it, and so it could serve a different answer based on whether it was one of these exchanges, these coin exchanges, or if it was viewing the URL directly. Nice. And people did not react positively to that.
Interesting.
It points out an internal flaw in the logic.
Yeah, because is it really? Yeah, it goes to this question of what is this really? What is this thing really that people seem to not understand? And that's kind of one of the only interesting things about it to me, is that it's kind of confusing conceptually. But yeah, let's actually go into the Vice article by Patrick Klepek, because this is an article that I think everyone who is thinking about the impact on video games should read, because Klepek goes across a lot of different ways that NFTs and pay-to-earn games are affecting the industry right now, because we're getting students and alumni coming to us at the Game Center and saying, hey, should I get involved in this? Should I take a job? And on one level, it's like, you do what you do in order to have a job and pay the bills. But I think everyone should know how much of a shifting bog of quicksand this whole thing is. There's always something that venture capitalists and executives are throwing money at. This is how social games got big on Facebook in the first place, and free-to-play games on mobile. It was the next big thing that people wanted to invest in. But now, it's created new divisions. So I think one of the big things this article is about is that game developers, the people actually making creative decisions and trying to create video games in one platform or another, really don't want to do this. And the business executives are saying, no, this is our new direction. And there's a bit of a rebellion in the ranks. What did you think of this article?
Yeah, I think this is a great. I love Klepek's an excellent journalist, and I love it when a piece synthesizes a lot of recent events, because this is clearly there's a tide here shifting, right? We've seen over the last couple of months, throughout the fall especially, a lot of games companies announcing some sort of NFT thing that they were doing, and then immediately walking it back. Has been the kind of like there's been like outrage from internally and externally, and so I think this is a great investigative piece, talking to some of the actual developers involved. I think, to me, there's no better way to highlight we talk a lot about the kind of funny space that games occupy, the divisions between games as a capitalist product, as a financial investment, games as occupying a space within technology, and games as occupying a space within the arts and culture. And those, sometimes the differences between those three things are we can ignore them and we all go about our business. But sometimes they're brought into stark relief. And this is an instance of those. I think, though, the key, I think you mentioned it already, to me, the second key, I've got like now the second key that'll unlock your understanding of the space, is what you mentioned about venture capital. Something that I think I can't believe that this isn't more of a news item in general, is how much uninvested capital there is floating around in finance right now. So, like, what's his name? Who's not Jimmy Buffett, the other one? Warren Buffett. His letter to his investors recently was like, well, we don't have enough investments, so like we are sitting on whatever it is, $90 billion. The what's called dry powder, uninvested private equity capital, has risen from like it was like 500 billion in total industry wide 10 years ago, and it's over $1 trillion this year. So like the people whose job it is professionally to find things to invest money in so that it will turn into more money are sitting on over $1 trillion they can't find. Like that's the like we just it's better to do nothing.
Welcome to late stage capitalism, like really writ large. Just too much money. They can't figure out what to do with all the money. The mandate of the money, it should be clear, is to make more money. So they can't, for instance, use it to solve global hunger or poverty. That would be a bad investment, right? In the human race. So yeah, this is why stupid things start to happen. Is what I think of as the result when there's all of this uninvested capital. They just throw it at whatever that somebody is coming along, being like, "Hey, build a monorail." That's a Simpsons reference.
I thought it was a Virgin Hyperloop reference.
Yeah, there we go. Hyperloop. Yeah, build whatever will make us money. So, yeah. So of course it's flooding into games, but it comes with these strings attached of like, well, it has to be something new that's going to make more money. And even though everyone is pointing out, look, this has already been done. No, everybody hated the Diablo 3 auction house, right? Which is sort of right there on the screen. But here's an easy way to make money. People are like, sure, why not? We have all of these billions of dollars that we need to get rid of. So just make the game developers do it. And it's just going to be a bunch of garbage is going to come out of this. And the way we know that is the next link. Oh, no, actually, sorry. First of all, here's what's going to happen. Let's look at what Gabe Newell has to say about this. A lot of the uses of NFTs that people are talking about in games are like, oh, you could have an item that you buy, that you own independently of a game, that you could use in another game. And this is, of course, Steam has been doing this already with Steam Marketplace. But why aren't they involved? Well, one, they already have all the features that everybody is talking about are possibly good about NFTs. And then also, when they were taking cryptocurrency, half of it was fraud. Half!
And that's the so I think this is an amazing piece and a great interview and like the it's easy to forget sometimes that cryptocurrency is old at this point. Bitcoin came out the year I graduated from undergrad in 2008. So my entire adult life, cryptocurrency has existed, and it is yet to find a use case.
Yeah, so, there's no point, and it's rife with fraud. Yeah.
Right, and so it's funny that there are so many examples of like there were other companies that dabbled in accepting cryptocurrency and stuff, and immediately walk it back for a number. The volatility is extremely high, and the fraud. Separate, we haven't even talked about that as like another like reason maybe not to get involved in this space is the one group that really does benefit besides early adopters and stuff like that is it's really used for a lot of crime. It's startling.
That's why I bought Bitcoin in the first place. Let me tell you, back when the Silk Road was a thing.
right. If only like retail level like drug buying and stuff like that, but it's like the ransomware, like
all the not fun crime.
Not fun crime. It's really they're in fact the only real users of cryptocurrencies for their intended purpose. And why is that? Well, they can't use real money because like the actual government because we as societies have realized that.
Well, I think that was a big motive for people who were like libertarians and interested in Bitcoin, yes. Right? They're like, we can just do our own thing without the law breathing down our neck. Yeah, that's I don't know. Are the feds cracking down on cryptocurrency? Hopefully. But back to games. Here's something the next link I want to show is a really in-depth analysis of the biggest play-to-earn game, Axie Infinity. So this link I recommend if you really want to do a deep dive into understanding exactly how bad a play-to-earn game is. If anybody approaches you with an offer to work on a play-to-earn game, you should just read this whole article so you know like what exactly they're talking about. Because this game, Axie Infinity, is the model that a lot of other companies are looking at. Mm-hmm. It's basically Pokemon, right? But all the Pokemon are randomly generated. They're procedurally generated blobs with different like ears and horns on them, and they battle against each other in a sort of Hearthstone clone, but with little Pokemon. And it's a system very similar to a lot of mobile free-to-play games where there's energy and you can do a certain number of battles a day and you can earn other currency, except the currencies are two different cryptocurrencies. One that you have to invest in to sort of make new Pokemon. And I'm just using Pokemon instead of saying, I guess I should be saying Axies so that I'm not,
Axamon.
I'm not demeaning the Pokemon company. But, and then another one that you earn by doing these battles, and that you use for other types of, breeding them together and things like that. But there's massive runaway inflation. And so it's the same problem that you were describing with cryptocurrency, that over time, you need more and more people to come in to do this, to play this game in order to prop up the value. And as the growth of the game is slowing down, because there's only so many people that want to play a game that's not meant to be fun, it's meant to be a job. Because that's literally the design mandate of this game, then it starts to collapse. And that's not even the worst thing about this game. The worst thing is that in order to start playing, you have to have like an initial investment in cryptocurrency. Like you have to pay to start playing it. It's like having entry fees at the casino, right? God. So it's not free to play, it's play to earn, which means you pay in order to work at your job. But what if you're a poor person who's just trying to make minimum wage by playing a game? Well, you can get a sponsor who will pay your entry fee, and then they take a cut of all the currency that you earn while playing the game. So I don't even know how to describe this. It's like having a feudal landlord who owns part of your gameplay and then like reaps profit off of it by sitting back and doing nothing. It's kind of obscene, right?
Yeah, and it's once again, you can see the whole lot. So when play to earn when that was the new thing that was getting people to use cryptocurrency, like a lot of the articles that talk about it repeat and I think this is a thing you see a lot, is they repeat the claims from the proponents. And so it's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if like you got, like if you played a game and then you got paid for it? And it's like, yeah, but that sounds insane. Why would that happen? and a lot, they didn't break down. So I was like, and this was the one I was reading through it to try and figure out, like, how is this perpetual motion machine supposed to work? And I'll pay in, then I get a share of all the people who come after me. Okay, but why are they paying? Like,
right.
Why do they pay? They pay with the expectation that someone will pay them later. Wait a minute.
Wait a second. It's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, and it's funny. So another key, the third or fourth key for me to understanding cryptocurrency is a point made by John Paul Koning a couple of years ago now. Wrote this article about how who's a journalist, a financial industry journalist, about how the cryptocurrency isn't a currency at all. The thing to understand it is that it's a game. The cryptocurrency itself is a game, and that it's a modern version of the chain letter or the airplane game or the loom of prosperity, which was big on Instagram a year or two ago. This idea of like, yeah, I pay in, and then the next people pay in, and the next people pay in, and I get payout. The problem with all of those systems is that you can cheat at them, right? Like I could just like collect everyone, and people don't trust them as a result. And so it's a better designed way, a fairer way to have a pyramid scheme. It's like that. That's in essence what cryptocurrency is. And then all of this, it all makes sense. Like exactly, that's why there's an increasingly desperate need to have more people put money into the pool, because.
Right. And that's why the culture resembles a multi-level marketing scheme, like very similar to that, right? And there's some good questions in chat, like what if you have a sponsor in Axie Infinity, you just stop working for them? Well, from what I understand, one, you don't get your minimum wage payout, which 70% of the players of this game are in the Philippines, and they were earning around minimum wage until the economy started to collapse. So you wouldn't get that cash out, which you take your cryptocurrency and you turn it into actual money that you can use to buy buy food and pay rent. So you wouldn't be getting that anymore, and you're basically fired from your job.
And yeah. on that note, I think it's easy to sort of like be a little dismissive of people who participate in a pyramid scheme, but it's worth noting that who those prey upon, where those things happen, are people who are under precarity, not people who are prosperous.
Exactly.
So it's why would you participate in something that, like, it has a small chance of maybe making a big difference in your life, but it's probably a scam. Well, if you're doing well, you're not going to participate in that. But if it's like you have no other choice, and how could your life get worse, then those are the people who are going to participate.
Yeah.
And so who these things prey upon is really not like, people who can afford to lose. It's for the most part people who this is their only option, and so it is
right.
bad.
And they're putting work into the
good
system so to create the appearance of a cool community with lots of activity, so that it will draw more people in. So they're all basically holding advertising banners saying, like, come into this land of fun and pleasure. Okay, we're almost out of time. I'm gonna run through a couple links really quickly. First of all, there are a couple famous designers from the olden times who've really got into this. Peter Molyneux is doing an NFT game, of course, because he jumps on anything like this. And Will Wright is also. So what's interesting about these attempts is that they're both built around user-generated content. So something that could be unique that you could, I don't know, mint and sell. That seems to be the direction all these games are going in. Whether anybody will want to buy like the creations of like 3D scenes that Will Wright's game is built around is open question. Who knows? But maybe it doesn't matter.
Second Life did that over a decade ago.
They certainly did. And interestingly, in Will Wright's, you can't cash out of it. So it's not totally clear to me like how it ties into this whole scam. And then finally, if you want the intellectual take on this, Ian Bogost, this article is worth looking at if you want to really understand like how to think about NFTs. His answer is that NFTs are just securities, just like bundled mortgages were that led to the mortgage banking crisis.
Although I wish we had the thing that drives me nuts about this piece is there's a commodity fetishism. There's Bogost, I think, makes an error here, and I very respect, but I think he's making a small mistake, and that he thinks that the thing that makes a secure, like, so he's talking all about symbolic value, like, right. A security gives you this, but here's the thing. A security, when you hold a stock certificate, it does not give you a share of ownership in a company. What does that is the centralized exchange and the full power of the state behind it.
Of course, yeah. Violence is always necessary to enforce a deed on land or whatever.
And
right?
so there's this new thing that says you own this. Oh, cool. Like you can't just write on like that's not how that like there's society and systems and it's a mistake to me that is surprising for a game designer to see make this sort of mistake, because it's like communities of play, like that's
it all depends on what you accept though. Like, did you know that money is just like a piece of paper with some ink on it, Alexander? How do you believe in fiat currency? Just as both a game designer and a dabbler in economic stuff, it's not what money is. It drives me nuts. All right, we got to wrap it up there, but we have two quick links I want to throw up here. So right now, the game industry is stopping all sales to Russia. There are a lot of companies sort of pulling out their support, no longer selling to Russia, and often getting review bombed as a result. Shout out to Polish AAA juggernaut CD Projekt Red being like, no more Russian sales, and getting slammed for that. But we also wanted to throw up, Logan, you had a link to a fundraiser that we wanted to tell you about. Because of the ongoing engagement of RAIN, there's a bundle for Ukraine on itch.io. Looks like it's raised $1.2 million. You can get a bunch of really awesome games. So if you would like to help donate to charity for people who are currently under attack in the Ukraine, it's a good way of doing that. And then finally, let's throw up the news about the first women's sports bar. Let's end with that one. Yeah, so in Oregon, I think this is in Portland, there's a new bar called the Sports Bra. And it's an all-women's sports bar, like just showing women's sports all the time. And I wanted to mention this because of the long-standing devotion of the NYU Game Center to women's sports, as represented by our long-running newsletter, The Sportswoman. put together by our very own Gwyneth Orgum Thrift and former admin Tony Pizza. So shout out to the sportswoman. And we're over time. So thank you very much for being on the show with us, Alexander.
Naomi, thank you so much for having me. Always a blast.
Well, we can definitely do it again sometime.
Definitely.
All right. See you later.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Naomi and Alexander. It was a pleasure to have you both on stream. Always a pleasure to hear you both talk about things that I more or less cannot wrap my mind around. And with that, it's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much to all of our hosts and guests that joined us today. And thank you to everyone in chat for tuning in. As a reminder, we are off next week for spring break. So we will see you again in 2 weeks on March 22nd. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.